started when I was around 16, back when my sister and I still lived with our parents on the edge of town. Our house sat near a long stretch of woods, the kind that stayed quiet even during the day. It was early October, unusually warm for the season. One night, my sister had her window open for fresh air while she worked on homework. I was half asleep when she burst into my room, pale, breathing fast. She said she'd heard footsteps outside, leaves crunching. I told her it was probably a raccoon or stray dog, but she insisted it sounded human. I went with her to check. The night outside was still. No wind, no crickets. We listened, and then we heard it. Crunch, a slow step, then another. Something was moving between the trees just past the backyard. When I flicked the light switch, the sound stopped, followed by the faint, quick rhythm of someone running through the woods. That was the first night. Winter came, and I'd forgotten about it until the first snowfall of the season. I went exploring, the way I always did after school, walking behind our yard where the forest opened into a small field. Everything was quiet, snow untouched, except for one strange thing. Footprints. They started from the trees and led directly toward our house. I followed them back to where they came from, expecting to see tire marks or a clearing, but they just stopped, right at an old rusted fence covered in snow. Like whoever it was climbed over and disappeared. Months passed. Then one night in January, I was lying in bed with the lights off. The house was silent, my door shut like always. That's when I heard it. The doorknob turning, a slow metallic click, and then the door creaked open by itself. My heart nearly stopped. I texted my sister, "Did you just come into my room?" Her reply came seconds later. "No, I'm in Hilliard." I froze. The door was open halfway. Nothing moved. I grabbed the small baton I kept under my pillow and texted my dad. He rushed in with a kitchen knife, flipped on the light, searched the entire house. Nothing. All doors locked. Alarm armed. No explanation. That night, I didn't sleep a second. A few weeks later, my relatives were visiting, staying in the basement. Around 2:30 a.m., my uncle woke up with a strange feeling. He told us later he saw a man outside the basement window, thin, average height, long hair, moving in the wind. The man was just standing there, watching them. When my uncle screamed, the figure disappeared into the dark. In the morning, we found faint footprints in the snow. One print showed a sneaker toe mark, like someone had leaned close against the window to look in. After that, things went quiet again, until tonight. I couldn't sleep, stress keeping me awake. Around 1 a.m., I unplugged my dim Christmas lights, thinking maybe the glow was keeping me restless. The room went completely dark. Minutes later, a faint strum of my guitar broke the silence, followed by a quiet thud, like someone trying to catch it before it fell. My chest tightened. I could feel someone in the room. My baton was across the room on my desk. I stayed still, pretending to be asleep. Then a whimper came from my sister's room. That was it. I grabbed my phone, switched on the flashlight, and ran straight in, yelling her name. She sat up, confused and unharmed. I turned back toward the dark hallway, my room glowing faintly from the phone light, empty. I just stood there shaking, realizing that for the first time in my life, I truly believed someone had been inside our house, watching us. I still don't know who or how long it's been happening, but I know one thing for sure. Those footprints in the snow, they were only the beginning. Last winter, my uncle let me stay in his remote cabin for a few days, so I could finish some freelance work in peace. It sat deep in the woods, no neighbors, no traffic, nothing but trees and silence. Honestly, it sounded perfect. A quiet break from everything. The first day was normal. I unpacked, made coffee, answered emails, and walked around the property a little. The snow around the cabin was untouched, smooth like white velvet. I didn't see a single animal, not even a squirrel. The isolation felt peaceful until the sun went down. The cabin became a different world at night. Pitch black outside. No streetlights, no distant cars, just total silence. That's why the first scratch was so loud. It came from the wall near the kitchen. Light, slow like someone dragging a nail against wood. I froze in the middle of the living room and just listened. It stopped after a few seconds. I shrugged it off, assuming it was a branch moving in the wind, but there was no wind that night. I let it go, made myself dinner, watched something on my laptop, and eventually went to bed. Around 2 a.m., another sound woke me. This time it was tapping on the bedroom window. Soft, spaced-out taps. Not rapid, not random. More like someone knocking gently just to see if I'd respond. I didn't move a muscle. I just stared at the curtain, waiting for a shadow or anything to appear. Nothing. After a minute or two, the tapping stopped. I convinced myself it was ice falling from the roof. But in the morning, I checked. There was no ice on that side of the cabin. Day 2 was a bit unsettling. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been standing just outside my window. But I stayed busy, made a fire, and tried to ignore it. That night, the noises returned. First, the same faint scratching, then tapping. Then something new, a slow, heavy step on the front porch. My heart jumped into my throat. The porch boards creaked again and again. Someone was walking right outside my door. I turned off every light in the cabin and sat completely still. I waited for the next step, or a knock, or anything, but everything went dead quiet. After 10 minutes, I finally crawled into bed, fully clothed, gripping my phone. At some point, I must have drifted off. I woke up to the cabin unusually bright. Morning light poured in through every window. I checked outside from the living room, expecting untouched snow again. Instead, there were footprints, fresh ones, circling the cabin, stopping at every window, leading up to the porch, stepping right to the front door, and then disappearing into the tree line. I called my uncle immediately. When I described the prints, he got quiet and said, "Stay inside. Don't go out yet. Someone's been reported missing in that forest for months. A missing guy. Living out there, wandering, surviving in God knows what condition." My uncle drove out later and helped me pack. Before leaving, he checked under the bedroom window and pointed at the corner of the glass. There was a faint handprint. Not a full one, just fingertips. As if someone had leaned in, checking for movement inside. I still don't know if he was trying to break in, or if he was just making sure I wasn't awake. But one thing was clear. Those taps on the window. They weren't from the wind, and the man outside wasn't lost. He was watching. When I was 22, I started renting the lower level of my parents' house. It wasn't a basement, more like a small apartment with its own entrance, a tiny kitchen and a wide living area. It was cheap, private, and perfect. Or at least it felt that way during the day. My parents went out of town a lot, which basically meant free weekends for me. That Friday, my friends Chris and Dylan came over to watch the hockey game. We were blasting music, half watching the TV, half talking trash to each other. I wasn't drunk, but I definitely had a buzz going. Since my mini fridge was tiny, I kept all the extra drinks in the main fridge upstairs. And because my parents were away, I left the door between my apartment and the main floor unlocked. It just made everything easier. After the game, both my friends decided to crash on the giant sectional couch. It could fit 3 people if they pretended to like each other. I said goodnight and staggered into my bedroom. I must have slept for a while, because when my eyes opened, the room was pitch black and the house was dead silent. Until it wasn't. Someone was walking around upstairs. Slow steps. Slow pacing. A rhythm that felt deliberate. I assumed it was one of the guys getting water from the fridge, so I ignored it and tried to fall asleep again. A minute later, I heard my bedroom doorknob, but it jiggled. Not violently, just a quiet, testing twist. I frowned. Chris had sleepwalked before, so I figured that's what it was. I kept still, didn't say anything, and eventually my eyes drifted shut again. Morning came. Chris had already left for work, but Dylan was groaning on the couch like a dying walrus. I casually asked if he had tried coming into my room. "No, why would I?" he mumbled. That was all he remembered. I shrugged it off and went about my day. I was out most of the afternoon, got home late, ate whatever snacks I found, and crashed in my room after an hour of TV. As soon as I switched the TV off, the same thing happened. thuds above me, slow footsteps. At first, I convinced myself it was house settling, or the fridge clicking, or my imagination. But then, just like the night before, my bedroom doorknob turned again. This time I sat up instantly. And this time, there was a soft knock immediately after. 3 light taps, not friendly, not random, as if someone was checking if I was awake. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. I grabbed my phone and texted my parents, then Chris and Dylan, just praying one of them would say, "Yeah man, it's me, chill." But nobody responded. I still didn't say anything. Instinct told me not to. I grabbed a heavy metal flashlight and tucked myself behind the dresser, just in case the door opened. Minutes passed, long, suffocating minutes. No more knocks. Finally, I whispered to 911. I told the operator I was alone and someone was trying to get into my room. She stayed on the line until a patrol car arrived. The officer tapped on my bedroom window. I cracked it open and handed him my spare key to the side door. A moment later, I heard officers entering my apartment. "Come out," one of them called. I rushed out, my hands shaking. They searched my floor, nothing. Then the main floor, also nothing. But when they went upstairs to my parents' bedroom, I heard one of the officers yell, "Hands where I can see them." My blood ran cold. They dragged out a man, tall, filthy, clothes hanging off him like rags. His hair was matted, and he smelled like he crawled straight out of a dumpster. His eyes were hollow, but the look he gave me, God, I'll never forget that look. Not anger, not fear, just this weird, empty hatred like he knew me. I didn't. The police questioned me outside. Apparently, the guy was hiding under my parents' bed, curled up like he'd been living there for days. Nothing was stolen. He didn't say a word. After they left, I finally called my parents and told them everything. They were horrified but didn't press charges because the guy was homeless and harmless. I still don't know whether I forgot to lock the front door the night my friends came over, or if he had already been inside long before that. The worst part? The police said the dust under the bed was disturbed in a way that suggested he had crawled in and out several times.